TJ, what's going on, man? Welcome to the Dad Edge. Good to see you. Of
Yeah, good to see you too, man. Thanks for having me.
course, man. Well, you and I mean, we've known each other virtually for a
Yeah,
little bit of time. We were in a
yeah,
group together, and then you and I were at an event actually in Idaho just
yeah,
about a month ago. So
yeah. Kind of got to reconnect slash
yeah,
connect. Yeah,
yeah, and and you've been busy. You've been working on a couple things, and then it obviously sparked some interest. And I'm like, man, I was like, the audience really needs to hear this message. So
yeah,
what I'd love for you to do is just talk to me about, just who you are, how you grew up, that kind of thing. I know about you, obviously, as far as high level, two boys
hmm
and
yeah,
married, all that good stuff. But give us the details, man. How what was it like for you growing up?
yeah, man. So I grew up in South Central Kansas. Uh, come from a farming family, and we kind of it was my parents got divorced when I was younger, so went through that whole thing, and then I was kind of a troublemaker growing up. I think I was just too much energy, not really a lot of good outlets for it. Ended up joining the army after I got off juvenile diversion. That was about, let's see, I think I was 19 years old when I finally got to go to the army. And then after that, it was just kind of like a whirlwind. I made it to 2nd Ranger Battalion. That's where I served all my time. I did 7 combat deployments there. After that, I got out. I started contracting, and that I think I was there for about 10 years contracting. I did about 30 deployments. And then, yeah, that's when life kind of took a crazy turn after that. So I was 2021, which I guess it took a crazy turn for everyone in 2021.
Yeah, so talk to me about the crazy turn.
So that's right about the time. Well, that was the time COVID was going on, and also in 2020 we had our boys. We had twin boys, and I had this moment. I went out. I was a big drinker. I drank all the time, uh, everywhere I went, part of my personality. And I woke up on the floor one morning, and my wife was there feeding our 2 1-year-old boys. And I was on the living room floor. Uh, I picked my head up and I looked into the kitchen. I could see my wife feeding our kids, our 2 sons, and they were both looking at me. And it was, it was a moment that I felt that was just like the worst feeling I had ever had in my life. And they were, excuse me, they were just watching me. And I stood up and I went and took a shower. I threw up, and I came back out, and I decided I wanted to change my life. I decided that I didn't want my sons to see me like that. I wanted to be a father that was present, that was there, that was a part of their life and not just in the background. So I made a decision that morning that I was going to quit drinking for 365 days and focus on my business and focus on my life. And, that was, 365 days was a big goal for me. It was just to see if I could do it or not. And I figured once I did it, I would have control. And that was over 3 years ago.
Wow. So what
Yeah.
did you think they were thinking? Or do you know?
I don't know what they were thinking, but I was thinking, I hope this isn't their first memory of me, of, you know, getting up off the living room floor and just having them watch me as, I got up to go to the bathroom and throw up. And, it was a horrible feeling. Just, just thinking that this could be their very first memory of their dad. And I did not want that at all. And I hope it's not, but I definitely made sure that if it wasn't, there won't be a memory of that.
Oh wow, man. And your
Yeah.
wife saw this too, you said, correct?
Yeah. Yeah. She
Yeah.
was there feeding them. They were in their
Did,
high chairs. And
did she say anything to you about it?
no, I mean, she knew who she knew me and she knew how I was. And like I said, it was a big part of who I was. It was a big part of my personality. And it was something that, I pretty much did daily. So I think she was more shocked when I came back out, and I was getting ready to tell her, I was getting ready to say it. I was like, I walked back out into the kitchen and said I have an announcement to make. And she goes, hang on, hang on. And she pulls her phone out and hits record. She goes, go ahead. So I said it, I said I was going to quit drinking for 365 days and turn my business into $1 million company. And uh, she recorded it, and it's actually up on my social media too. It's embarrassing, very embarrassing, but I felt like it was something that I had to post.
Oh, wow. I was gonna
Yeah.
that was the next question was, do you still have the video? But you
Oh
posted the
yeah.
video. It's on your
Yep.
Instagram?
Yes, it is.
No way. Is
Yep.
it one of those pin posts or is it
No, it's not pinned. It's just in there somewhere. But to me, it's pretty cringe. I don't like to watch it, but it was something. It was something I wanted to do to to get the message out and show people. Because like I said, it was a full perspective shift when I started. I mean, I had to change everything about my life to stop doing this, and um, because of that, I've actually had, several people reach out to me, friends from my past who have been struggling. I've been called from guys that were in the hospital, you know, hey, I need help. I know you quit drinking. I don't know how to do it. So I've just gave them everything that I did, told them, I um, call them frequently, make sure they got it. And yeah, they're all crushing it now.
wow. That's where it's a true testament that your struggle can be a gift to somebody else. It could
Absolutely.
actually absolutely be a lifeline, right? Um,
Yeah.
talk to me about so was this a problem before you were in the military? And by the way, I would love for you to just share what you can about your military career.
Okay. Yeah. So, like I said, just growing up, there was a group of us that we were all kind of in the same circle. We were all a bunch of troublemakers, and drinking was one of the things. A bunch of young boys were bored. We got nothing to do. So, it was one of the things that we just fell back to. And I started drinking in middle school. I was in eighth grade when I first started. And, all through high school, I did it. And nothing changed when I went to the army. It's definitely a coping mechanism, and we were deploying so much. Like I said, I was in Second Ranger Battalion, so our rotations were a little bit different. We would It started off, we were deploying for about 3 months. We would come home for 6, and then it changed to where we would deploy for 4 months and come home for 7. And so, it was like you go deploy. I did 3 trips to Iraq, 4 to Afghanistan, and when you come home, it's just everybody just wanted to blow off steam. And that's what we did. We would just go out and hit the bars, and, you train all week. Friday, Saturday, you're just out hitting the bars and trying to literally just blow some steam off.
Yeah, I'm sure. My gosh. And
Yeah.
but seeing you get up like that on that day, like you had been doing this, like you had a habit with alcohol since you were in eighth grade. Like that's when this
Yeah.
whole thing started, right? So that's a long time.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. It was.
but something changed for you as a dad
Mhm.
when you saw the look
Yeah.
in your kid's eyes. And
Yeah.
I want you to I want you to go 7 layers deep on this one because
Okay.
you don't make, obviously a life altering decision, something you've been doing, for basically the majority of your life. And then, but here's the reason I asked you this question. I asked you this question because um, having kids and being more than what we were, than being called to be more than what we are, maybe operating at a certain season or time, right?
Yeah.
Our kids, for some incredible reason, have this power, over us to step to step in, and to step forward. And for you, I would just love to get about as deep as you can of why was it that moment? What was it about that moment?
That's a great question. Um, for me, uh, like growing up, me and my dad kind of had this relationship that we were, kind of hit and miss. Like, getting in trouble and all that. I had a real, I guess you could say, a real problem with authority. And, there was obviously probably some trauma there that I needed to deal with that I wasn't. And it was something, I guess, something deep inside of me. Like I wanted to be a good father. I always wanted to be a father. I always knew I wanted to have a family and be a father. And that moment, and it was just, it was so random because, I was drinking before this while we had the boys. And that moment, it hit me completely differently, because I woke up and the first thing I saw was them. Like, we locked eyes, and I knew I was failing. I knew everything that I said I was going to do, everything that I told myself I was going to do, everything I had planned. I knew I wasn't doing it. I knew I was failing. And there's that chemical reaction that happens when you become a parent that, you say, like, I would give my life for these kids. And I mean, I talk about it with Fraser all the time. I guess for everyone who doesn't know Fraser Bailey, um, amazing guy, but I talk about it with him all the time. And it's, I would literally die for my kids, but are you willing to live for
Are you
them
willing to
every
live?
single day?
Yeah.
And I was not doing that. And that's, yeah, man, it hit me like a ton of bricks.
You know what? I want everyone to just lean into exactly what TJ just said. Because for those of you guys who've been following the podcast for a long time, you know that Fraser and I, he's been on this podcast several times, but he and I are very, very close. And he's been one of the greatest coaches in my life for not just nutritional gain, right? And
Yeah.
physique changes, but also like how to operate, right? And he
Yeah.
talks about like this superhuman, right? 2.0 versus the 1.0.
Yep.
What does 1.0 do to you versus 2.0? But one of the most powerful things that he actually said to me, same thing as you, is he's like, "Would you die for your kids?" Same thing. I was like, "Of course I would." He goes, "Yeah, but are you willing to live for them?" And I
Yeah.
was like, "Oh," I was like,
Yeah.
that's a lot." I was like, "Why do you ask me that?" He's like, "Because think about it. Most parents, especially fathers, are willing to barely claw and survive this thing." So is that
Mm-hmm.
he asked me, he's like, "Is that what you want? Is that what you want to show your kids? Survive?"
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "Or do you want to show them what a 2.0, solid human being who operates at a totally different level?" He's like, "Not saying
Yep.
we're gonna be perfect, but you've got a hell of an opportunity to show them something different." And
Yep.
dude, I don't know what it was about that. It sounds like you had a very similar experience that I did. And I was like, it just changed my perspective on it, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It.
Well, first of all, thank you for sharing what you did. That wasn't
Yeah.
easy. And then over the past 3 years, though, you have made drastic changes. Like I said, I only know the tip of the spear of the high level things that you've told me, but you're working now for an organization called Operation Lighthouse, which I think is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
You got this book coming out, Lead Your
Mm-hmm.
Adventure, and all of your experiences through that. So you're doing some amazing things. Um,
Thank
but
you.
but yeah, and so talk to me, number one, first of all, about your book, Lead Your Adventure. That it's first of all, the title is fascinating to me. Tell me about the title.
So the title, I got it right here. Lead Your Adventure. It was it's become my motto for my life. It's my motto for my business, Wooby Hoody, Lead Your Adventure, and it became my life's motto. I kind of took a little bit from Ranger Battalion. Our motto is Rangers Lead the Way. So I kind of took that and applied it to my own life. And, like what we were just talking about, I didn't want a life that was just surviving. It was always supposed to be this grand adventure that, I was getting comfortable, I was getting complacent, and it's there to remind me that this is supposed to be an adventure, and you're supposed to be a leader. You're supposed to lead your life, you're supposed to lead your family, you're supposed to lead your kids, and this is your adventure, and that's your duty as the dad, as the husband. And it just really really hit home for me.
Yeah, I was so curious about the title just because I think it could be interpreted so many different ways. But I think what's really
Mhm.
meaningful is like number one, how does it speak to the reader, right? But also,
Yeah,
what does it mean to the author, right?
yeah,
Then
yeah.
there's usually always a story behind that. So, you know, give us a high level here. So, how can we be doing that better? And then in your book, like how do you give strategies and suggestions on what we could be doing differently?
So it's all coming together in my life right now. Like, the book's getting ready to come out next month. Should be if everything goes according to plan. And Operation Lighthouse, we just did that, which, our three pillars are optimize, protect, and lead. And it's it's kind of just how to get your life together, and not just get your life together, but start thriving. How to literally optimize your life, protect yourself, protect your family. This is Operation Lighthouse, and then the leadership aspect of it all, and then taking these tools, and it's not just tools for you, but it's designed to take these tools back to your community, back to your family, and share the knowledge. So it's not just it's not just it's not just building you up, but it's a force multiplier. It's meant to take home and apply it to everybody else around you. And the book is my step by step, um, my step by step pathway, that from like chapter one is the story of waking up on the floor, and then it was just everything that I started doing to get my life back on track, because I knew I had bad habits, and so I had to replace those habits with something good, because you can't just cut it out because there's a void there, right? And if you don't fill that void with something, you're just going to fall back into what you've always been doing. So it was just kind of like swapping different pieces out. Okay, this isn't working, so I'm going to try this. Um, okay, that's working, but I can tweak it and make it a little bit better. Man, I looked at everything, all the way down to the music I was listening to, the people I was hanging out with, the conversations I was having, the conversations I was having in my own mind with myself, which once I started looking at that, it was not healthy how I talked to myself, and it was all just my internal dialogue. It was pretty much constantly negative when I started paying attention to it. And so that alone was a huge part of this, trying to stop that, and just being so aware all the time of how I'm speaking, the words I'm speaking, inside my head, but also what I'm projecting out there, what I'm projecting out to the world. Because I'm a firm believer that, you are a reflection of the world, is a reflection of you. It's one giant mirror, and you are seeing whatever you're putting out there. And I talk about this all the time. Like, if you don't like where your life's at, like if you don't like what you see, it's it's you. It's the decisions you're making. It's how you're talking. It's the environment you're in, the people you're surrounding yourself with, and all these things are just changes. They're decisions that you make every single day to do these same things over and over again. And once you realize that it's a conscious decision that you're making, you can change it like the flip of a switch. You can change it.
I agree with you. You know, and I think a lot of people would say, well, it's not that easy. What do you,
Well,
and by the
it,
way, go ahead.
I was going to say it's not that easy, but it literally is.
Yeah.
Like I had to hit that rock bottom point in my life, and it became very easy. It became very clear. And it was just a simple choice to, hey, I'm going to do something different now. But if you're looking at it from a perspective of, well, these are my friends and I don't want to hurt their feelings, like, yeah, it's not easy. But looking at your life, your adventure that you're trying to lead, and if you want to actually live it to your full potential, become vulnerable, become open-minded, and grow, which I think is our whole purpose here in life, is just to grow and develop and become better individuals. And it's a never ending process. Like there's no finish line. I guess the finish line is the day you die, but outside of that, like, yeah, it literally is that easy.
What did you start to notice when you first started making these changes? And I want to hear the good things that you noticed and also maybe the things that were unexpected that maybe you didn't like.
um a few of the good things, I mean, right off the bat, my life got better. Almost I want to say almost immediately my life got better, but right when it happened, my life got really hard. Like I lost my job 45 days after I quit drinking. And yeah, it's totally backwards, right? Normally it's the other way around. You lose your job because you're drinking. And I got
Right.
sober and yeah, got sober and lost my job. So that was like, here's the big conundrum is I said I'm going to do this. Uh, the day I started was Memorial Day and Memorial Day 2021. And 45 days later, I was overseas on a trip and I lost my job. So it was 3 days to fly back home. And I just remember thinking over and over, like, I can just go get a bottle, like I know I made this pact with
Well,
myself.
yeah.
I know I made this vow that I was going
Yeah.
to do this. But this is different. These are kind of extenuating circumstances. So I should be able to go drink. My wife will understand, my boys will understand that, I tried, but then this thing happened. So, and I had 3 days to think about it. And I got home, and by the time I got home, I had that clarity, and I had that definite purpose of I'm not going to. I'm going to stick to what I said. I'm going to remain 100% accountable for everything I do, everything I fail to do, whether this works or does not work. I don't care. Like I am going to do this 100% and keep my word. If for nobody else, for me, I mean, obviously there was my wife and kids too that I said this to. So I said I don't care if I have to go be, a janitor. I was thinking about going to get a job as a bouncer at one of the bars here and just like I will make this and I will be successful. And I spent the last of our money on our first rental property. I had no idea what I was doing. Never, never really worked on a house before. Never owned a house. We bought our house. It was nice. I didn't do anything to it. So when I bought our first rental property, it needed some work, and so it was like YouTube University. I had some friends that came over and helped me for the harder stuff that I didn't know how to do, and that whole freaking month was just. I mean, it was a blur. I was up first thing in the morning. I was over there at the house just working till 1, 2 in the morning, figuring it out as I went. I spent all our money on it, and it was just I went all in. I bet on myself, which is something that I was forced to do, which turned out to be a great thing because that right there was a huge confidence boost. Instead of trying to rely on other people to help me get through things, I bet everything on myself, and it paid off. So now I'm more than comfortable betting everything on myself. I guess a few of the bad things were my circle changed. People that
I was wondering if that was going to be one of them.
yeah, yeah, it definitely changed. People that I thought would be in my life forever. I kind of realized that um, our friendships had probably grown to an end previously. They kind of just came to a natural end, and a lot of them, it was me holding on to it. And so there's a handful of people I just stopped calling and haven't heard from them. And uh, the plus side of that was new people came into my life that understood, my new path that I was on, my new journey, you being one of them. And we just kind of like it just shifted everything. And it, the interesting part is it shifted everything. And it was I can't think of a saying right now, but something like, you have to die 1,000 times to become who you want to be. And like I could not honestly go back to that person that I was. I almost see that person as, you know, somebody that was an acquaintance in my life, 3, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Like, oh yeah, I remember him, but I can't see the world the same way. I can't think the same way. I can't talk the same way. Uh, my my vision of life, my dreams have all changed, and I can see how tangible it is now. When back then it was more along the lines of, oh yeah, that'd be kind of cool if that happened to me one day, and now it's, oh yeah, I'm gonna go make that happen. So
I'm gonna go make that happen. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're doing a lot of quotes in this show, which I think is pretty cool.
Hmm.
Mike Tyson said, or maybe it wasn't Mike Tyson, but I think it was, which is, everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face. And I would
Yeah.
say
Yeah.
what happened to you, right, was a punch in the face. It was like, oh, I didn't expect that, and now my plan has changed, right? And
Yep.
that's why I was so curious about that in your life, right? Because you could have easily have done that, okay, given into that temptation, and people would have probably forgiven you. In fact, they'd probably be like, dude, like, come on, man, like, have a drink.
Yeah.
Like, some people be like, you lost your job. Like, come on, like,
Yeah.
it's one night. And then you become like,
Yep.
what's Frank the Tank? Who's like, I'll do one. I'll do one. And then before you know it,
Yeah.
he's all messed
Yep.
up. But,
Yep.
I think that takes a ton of mental fortitude. And I don't know if you and I'd be talking here today if you would have made a different decision at that 45-day mark to,
Hmm.
to go back to drinking.
Hmm.
And but this is where, I've been down this road myself, and this is where I see guys get tripped up. And we've actually coined a new phrase in our community, and that's called "Did you fall back to sleep?" Right? Did you
Oh,
fall back
I
to
like
sleep?
that one.
Now the flip side to that is, are you staying awake? Right? Are you
Hmm.
staying awake? And what that means is, I'm growing, I'm learning, I'm evolving, I'm accountable.
Hmm.
And so, like, for instance, right now I'm doing 75 hard.
Oh, cool.
And I'm also heading up our first form. We do 4 times a year. We do a first form dad edge body transformation. We got one more we're doing this
Yeah.
year. And right now I'm leading 54 guys through it. I literally just got a text from my man, John, and he said, "Hey, Larry, it's John. Not looking for support with the 8-week challenge yet, but I just want to let you know I haven't been this committed to my personal health for more than I have been in the past 4 weeks. Just wanted to say hi and see how you're doing with 75 hard." Like, dude, it's messages like this, like that guy
Yeah.
right there, he's not asleep, right?
Hmm.
He is dialed in. I've seen John as he's been progressing through this challenge.
Yeah.
And, he refuses to go back to sleep. And that's why he feels the way he does over the past 4 weeks. And what I see men do, and we go in and out of this depending on the season, right? I fell asleep from like last August to like February. I hit
Yeah.
a horrible rut, started feeling sorry for myself, got depressed, was making poor choices, just it just I
Yeah.
and I went to sleep. That's on me. I'm
Yep.
responsible.
Yep.
And then I woke back up. I actually hired a coach, and I basically was like, I need to get dialed in. And
Yeah.
now, I feel a lot like you do, which it's
Hmm.
probably been about 3 months of this now, to where like I refuse to go back to sleep.
Yeah.
Right. Just refuse it, because actually
Yeah.
when you fall asleep, or like you could have easily caved in and started drinking again, that would have maybe
Yeah.
spiraled into, reviving that habit. But it's
Yeah.
like there's something much deeper here. And the thing that I heard another quote here again: if you want to build confidence, keep the promises to yourself and others. If you're a
Hmm.
man of your word, you are going to be confident, because at the end of the day, what we're truly asking ourselves is, can I depend on myself? Like,
Yeah. Absolutely.
can all these people, but can I even do it? Do I even hold my own promises to myself? Because if I can't do that,
Hmm.
there are bigger problems. And in
Yeah.
that, and then the second thing is, surround yourself with the right people, which your circle
Yeah.
changed. So, I really want to know, like, from the depths of TJ, and making that decision of like, I will not, like, what was that guy saying?
That guy. So that guy, with everything that that guy had accomplished, you know, had a successful career in the military, successful contracting. I was making a good living, and my confidence was low. My anxiety was high. I was not, if I'm being completely honest, like 100% honest, I was not happy. I was making six figures. Um, I had a beautiful family, and it's nothing to do with my family or my job or anything like that. Just my soul was not happy with what I was doing, and I knew it, but I I guess I didn't want to acknowledge it to myself. And you would think that after going through all that, all the selections, all the deployments, you're walking around like top of the world, like there's nothing I can't do. But man, things scared me, and flying home was one of the scariest times of my life. I would much rather go back to combat any day of the week than go back to that time when I got 2 1-year olds, a wife, a mortgage, and I'm flying home to let them know like, hey, I don't have a job anymore. Single family income. So um, yeah, so that that time built so much confidence in my life. It gave me so much power with myself to not only say I was going to do something and make it happen, but being able to say I was going to do something and the people around me knew that it was going to happen. And which again
Yeah.
built the confidence even more. It's that
Yeah.
momentum, you start building it and it grows. It's like a snowball rolling down a hill. It just keeps growing bigger and moving faster. And yeah, so as much as it was miserable and it was hard and I would never want to go back to it, it gave me something that you can't get when everything's going good. You don't get the experience, you don't get that back against the wall feeling, especially when you got kids relying on you.
Yeah.
uh yeah, it just gave me something that I'll forever be grateful for, because it's one of those things. Now I use that as, I know I can always go back and say, hey, I made it through this. And so now all the other things that I did, I don't look at it as a struggle point in my life. I look at it as, this was something hard. There's a lesson to be extracted from it. I pull that lesson, I apply it to my life now. And so now it just feels like I went through the whole first 35 years of my life collecting lessons and never looking at them. And then the last 3 years of my life have just been, okay, like this horrible, scary moment on deployment, like what can I get out of that? It's not a burden for me to bear for the rest of my life and hide in shame. There's something in there that I can use. Like that's why it happened, because there's a lesson in there. And so it's been eye opening. It's probably the best way I can describe it. Like I was saying earlier, I can't go back and see anything the same way anymore.
So I get the feeling you're never going back to drinking.
No, no, I don't think so.
What you mentioned early on that, if you, and then forgive me if I don't remember exactly if you actually inserted what you replaced alcohol with, because I know you said if you're going to cut one thing out, you've
Yeah,
got to replace with other things. And I'm
yeah.
curious, what are those things for you so you didn't go back? And by the way, I agree with you. I don't
Hmm.
necessarily think deprivation is the key to getting to your goals. It's either
No,
it's always like replacement. I mean, something as simple
yeah,
as I'll share this with you really quick, but
yeah.
my my assistant got me a Ninja Creamy for my birthday. That's the thing
Okay.
where you can make homemade ice cream, but it's like
Oh, okay.
for all these crazy fitness enthusiasts. I told Fraser about it, by the way, and he was like,
Yeah.
dude, make me a video. But it makes homemade ice cream, but
Yeah.
it legitimately, like, we make ice cream every night, but our pint of ice cream has 75 grams of protein in it and 7
Oh,
grams of
wow.
sugar. Yeah, it's
Nice.
insane.
Yeah.
But like it mixes stuff up. But like I'm like, hey, like we all love ice cream, but we can actually replace it with an upgraded,
Yeah.
way upgraded, healthier version, which by the way, pretty much tastes the exact same. My kids are just like, let's have our own. It's much better. But I
Yep.
don't think necessarily, replacing, a poor habit, you have to hate what you're replacing it with, almost to like to punish yourself that you were doing it in the first place. Like, I don't know if it make any
Yeah.
sense, but I think
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
people have that
Absolutely.
psychology, right? But like, what were
Yep.
you doing?
So one of the things I used right off the bat was I wanted to optimize my health, my fitness. I knew I had done a lot of damage, um, just from drinking so much, and that was one of my goals, was to get my health as good as I could get it. So I started going to the gym every single morning. It was a non-negotiable for me, which helped because at night I knew I had something that I had to get up and do the next morning. Reading, as simple as that sounds, getting up and reading something positive, something productive. It was all personal, professional development. Um, that's how I learned how to do real estate. That first house I bought, I had no clue what I was doing. It was pretty sure this lady was an angel who sold it to me. That's a whole nother story. But yeah, that was another one. Jiu-jitsu. I had started doing jiu-jitsu beforehand, and there was one day I went in there and I almost puked because I was so hungover and I was rolling, and I just knew that I could not commit 100% to anything unless this thing was gone. And so once that thing was gone, I started just setting goals for myself in all these other areas. And so that was my new focus, was I got to get up and hit the gym. I got, jujitsu this evening. I got addicted to reading. So I love reading books now. I read all the time, which again was just, it's another force multiplier. I'm not stumbling my way through everything. I'm able to get snapshots inside people's heads, or these experts who are doing real estate or, jujitsu or personal development. And it's just like the fast track to making myself better. So I think those are like the three big things that I really started doing.
I love the fact that you packed in so many good things, you didn't make room for the bad.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you have a new goal to be up and like be doing jujitsu at 7 a.m. or something like that,
Yeah.
you're gonna force that habit out over time of the
Yeah.
drinking thing, right? I mean, like especially if it's affecting you, right?
Yeah.
And
Yep.
so I love that tactic. I want you to talk to us a little bit about Operation Lighthouse as well. You got an incredible thing that you're doing, man. That's really serving a huge
Yeah.
need.
Yeah. So we just ran Operation Lighthouse version 2.0. We had 9 high-level men show up. They're they're alphas in what they do, and the whole idea behind Operation Lighthouse it's not to cripple them. It's not one of those courses where you're going to come there and you're going to get beat down and get beat up and belittled and denigrated. It's something where we're going in here and the whole goal is to transform. It's to give you all the tools that you need to transform, to optimize your life, to become the protector and become the leader in your life and in your community. And we're using art therapy. Um, we're teaching. There's a lot of teaching. There's a lot of uncomfortable situations. We throw in some conflict in there to let the men there resolve these issues, and then we we tie it all up in a nice little bow at the end and kind of bring the whole thing together.
That's really cool, man. And
Yeah.
what's your hope for that program? Like if you were to fast forward this thing out 5 years, what's your hope for this?
Man, honestly, I know myself and Cody and Cash, Cody Alford and Ray Cash Care, we all have this goal to make the biggest impact we can. And, we want to help people. We're all veterans. We're trying to help other veterans. We're trying to help law enforcement. And you don't have to just be in that service business to have these traumas. It's for anyone. There's extremely 7, 8 figure high level entrepreneurs that are going to this and, talking about issues they're struggling with from when they were kids. And at the end of it, this last one was just so successful that, everybody got something out of it that applied directly to them. And I learned a ton from it just by being on the instructor side of it. I've learned so much, and things I'm taking home to apply to myself and my family.
Love that, man. I think guys need more of that in our lives,
Hmm.
just to be taken out of your element a little bit
Yeah. Yeah.
and, go through an experience like, that you're one that you're going to remember and the one that you're going to take, lessons from.
Yeah.
And, I love the work that you guys are doing in the world, man. It's really, really good. And I'm so happy for you
Yeah.
and your book is coming out too, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So, for all the guys listening, where's the best place for them to follow you, to engage more, to grab a copy of your book, support Operation Lighthouse? Like, what does that look like?
So you can follow me on Instagram at TJ White RGR. You can follow my business on there, Wooby Hoody. It's WOBYHOODY. There's Operation Lighthouse. That's on Instagram too. You can find us all on there. Uh, the military to entrepreneur mastermind that starts shortly after Labor Day. That's on Instagram as well. Yeah, I mean, Instagram is probably the best way. You reach out to me on any of those platforms. It's me. I don't have virtual assistants or anything. So you'd be talking directly to me and any questions, anything like that. You can get the book at Wooby Hoodie. And then it'll also be on my website, uh, and then also on Amazon.
Well, guys, not to worry. We're going to have all the links in the show notes for you. Just head on over to thedadedge.com/Friday 170 for the show. Again, thedadedge.com/Friday 170. TJ, did you ever think in a million years that we'd be saying, like, hey, if you shoot me a message, it's really me? It's
No.
not like, I mean, like, as you said that, I'm like, it makes total
Yeah.
sense in the world we live in, but no,
Yeah.
it's like, it's actually really me. It's not a
Yeah.
computerized generative,
Yeah.
version
If
of
you
me.
if
It's,
you
it's
call me,
me.
that's me talking on the other side.
If you
That's
get a
funny.
text from me, it
Yeah.
was me. So
That was me that sent that. Please respond.
yeah, very good. I think it'd be really scary if like somebody saw you mowing your yard and you had to actually call and be like, that was actually me.
Yeah, that was me mowing.
Yeah, it wasn't the robot that we own. So that looks like
Yeah.
me, but good stuff, man. Again, guys, head on over to thedadedge.com/Friday 170 for this show. You can connect with TJ. We'll have links for him, Wooby Hoodie, Operation Lighthouse as well, all that information for you. So, gentlemen, from my heart to yours, have an amazing rest of your week, or actually weekend, and we'll see you guys on Monday. Take care.